Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Baka.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Just like jump right into it. I wasn't ready yet.
Jump right into it.
He asked.
Well,
I
let's
know,
go.
I know.
Ready.
I know.
Yeah, everybody said they were good, so we going.
Yeah, we go, and we got things to do, stuff to talk about.
To be
Yeah.
fair, he tries to start at a particular time on his little timer up there, and it was quicker than it normally would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I gave it a shorter period. Sometimes I give it like 10, 15 seconds. This is when I gave it 5 seconds and was like,
You're
all right,
here we go.
It's
Here
like, and
we
go.
Wow. Okay. I was clicking through the articles because I haven't gotten a chance to read them all, and I stopped on one because the headline caught my attention. So, can't wait to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. So we all got to play some more TTT the other night.
Yeah. That was fun, as always.
As always. They had a good time with that one. I Mr. Chaos over there, and he was like, it was hilarious because Chicken's yelling basically like, if you don't move, there's like 3 people left on a map, and he goes, if you don't move, I'm gonna make you all move, because he was taking too long.
To be fair, I was one of the ones
you
left
gotta-
alive, and I was trying to find the other people, but I could not. Like, I think they were slightly ahead of me, and I just couldn't figure out where they were at because they were right in front of me the whole time.
Yes, you guys were looping together. It was on the Scaled map, and I was watching you just run in circles. I was like, all right, if you do not make this end here in a few minutes, I'm just going to put you together and turn this into a free-for-all. So make something happen here. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to strangle everybody if they don't do it. But if you were the killer, get a radar. Like, almost everybody can buy a radar. Just buy the radar that tells you where everybody is.
I only do that on the Among Us map. That's it.
I buy it on almost every map. Like, if I'm hiding somewhere, I'll just buy the radar and be like, okay, now I can see where everybody is. And I can see where my ally
or the
is.
vampire. If I'm the vampire, then I'll buy one.
Is
Yes.
that a permanent thing, or does it have
Yes.
Okay.
It's
See, I was
permanent.
like,
It'll-
I'll buy it when
Like
it's
every so
later in the
often,
match.
it pings everyone's location, so it gives you a general idea of where they're at. So, like as the vampire, it's highly useful to see, like, oh, there's someone off over there alone. I'm gonna go find them.
Yes.
I thought there was
Yes.
a
Oh,
duration to
okay.
it, so I always wait until closer to the end of the match to buy it because I was like, oh, I don't want it to run out when there's still a whole bunch of people around.
It pings every 25, 30 seconds, so you get to see like an update of where everybody's position is.
Can we get rid of opposite day? Because that is a thing. Can we get rid of that one?
Which one's
The-
the movement thing, or the one where it
The
flips
move- The flipping doesn't bother me. Like, it just makes me dizzy. But the
more
other one,
people were opposed to flipping the map upside down than they were the reverse controls.
Oh my god, the reverse controls, that's horrible. The flipping the upside down map, I felt like I was losing my mind. Like, I was like, where?
It's so funny. It's so funny though, because we're all just walking around. It's completely upside down.
My brain couldn't comprehend what, like, the reverse thing. It's like, okay, hand to brain, working. Eyes to brain, not working. Could you imagine, like, the reversed upside down? Like, where your controls are reversed and you're upside down?
Oh god.
I
Like,
think the thing that got me about the reverse one though is I didn't I guess it makes sense when somebody said it, but I didn't realize that to shoot you had to push your reload button for that, because that is the opposite. It makes sense, but I was like, what button is it? Like, I was trying every button on my mouse to figure out how to shoot.
I was checking the second mouse button because I was thinking it would be the opposite of zooming in.
Yeah, so,
That's what I thought. But evidently the shoot button becomes your reload, which is weird.
It made
Yeah.
sense when somebody said it, and I was like, oh, okay, but I was dead by that time, so.
Yeah. I can't. That one just, my brain can't comprehend that. That's
I
something.
killed someone with that going, and then ran across someone else and hit the button to fire, and I was like, why am I reloading? Oh, son of a bitch.
That game is fun. Chicken made me, I'm gonna just tell everybody, Chicken made me really upset with the first play of the night though. And I was like, I just couldn't let it go for like an hour. But it was
That
really
was the first play too.
it was
Yeah.
literally the first game, the first thing that happened, because and it was a good play on Chicken's part. I should not have been upset about it, but I was, because it's one of those things where it's like, let me get into the game and play for a minute. It literally, we just loaded in, and Chicken goes, I'm the detective, Griff, you want the stun gun? And he knows I love the stun gun, so I was like, sure. I walked over to pick it up, and he shot me in the back with the golden deagle. Like, yeah, I was the bad guy and I had it coming, and that's fine. But it was like, literally, like, you lured a child with candy and then donkey punched them.
But it was a 50-50. I literally spent all of my detective credits, threw everything down, and was like, all right, Griff, here's a stun gun, and this is either going to kill me, and you guys have all of my stuff, or you're going to die. This is 100% committed play. I was going with it.
Yeah,
Like, right.
yeah, that's just to remind everybody, the golden deagle, either the bad person dies, or if it's a good person, the person that makes the shot dies. Which I died a lot because I just like, I'm gonna shoot this person, and I think I got it one time I got it right out of like.
See,
unless it's something weird like with me and Chicken, and neither one of us died.
Were you a flopper or something?
Griff would have been like super happy and go lucky if I would have shot her, died, and then she would have been like, he shot me with the deagle, I'm innocent this round, and went around with everybody watching her back. Then it would have been fine, but I play a 50-50 and just get scored.
It is a hell of a way to start a night.
Yeah, like I said, it was literally because it was the first thing of the night. It was a great play. He was very clever with it. It was just one of those things where it was like, well, that sets the tone for the whole fucking night. So
I could have did it with
I
anybody.
feel like it's the equivalent of having a really good night's sleep, and you're getting out of your bed and you step on a Lego. Like, I feel like that's what it was, because she was like all pumped for the night, and the first thing out, you shoot her in the head and she dies. Granted, she was the bad guy.
I was gonna say it's not my fault. She was a bad guy. She was the traitor.
I know.
It was either
she was the bad guy.
Her or me. I mean, that's what I do. It's like, her or me. Let's go. We're gonna do this. We're gonna find out right now.
The chaos meter was up.
Then it was like two matches later or something like that. Oak's like, Griff, I'm the detective. You want a stun gun? I was like, I ain't falling for that shit twice.
I was like, I'm not gonna do that to you.
I gave you the stun gun like 8 times throughout the entire night too. But that's how you play chaos, man. You fucking be unpredictable.
Yeah, but if everybody's chaos at that particular point, then I mean, it does get fun. But at the same time,
yeah, that's the point. It gets fun. Like, I mean, I saw No Pants, and like 5 out of 6 times he'd just shoot me, and then the one time I run past him and he doesn't shoot me, it's like, what are we doing? Are you the jester this time, or are you just fucking with me? What about that guy over there? He's just standing with an incendiary looking at me, and the guy on the roof, like. You talk about chaos. I was standing on the roof at one point, and I saw down, like, because there's a hole between the 2 buildings, and I saw people gathering down there, and I shot Kyle in the ass, and he turns around and just straight blasts Griff's sister. Just starts blasting her because he thought she shot him. I was like, perfect. This is how you just create chaos amongst other people.
My only chaos that I enjoy doing is when I'm the I turn the lights off constantly on the Among Us one.
I hate you. Like the first thing I always do is it's so dark. I'm just like, okay, I gotta go turn on the lights. Like this flashlight.
Do you have a flashlight?
I do. So I turn on that flashlight and go straight for the lights. And then I check the wall because just in case someone's trying to hunt me. And if
the one time I went in and turned on the same thing I had just turned off. Was the red light, green light win. And then that's when Chicken decides that he's just going to go and shoot everybody. Whether they stop or not, he's going to shoot them. And I stopped right when it said red light, turns around, starts shooting at me, and then he shoots somebody down the hallway. And then people run down the hallway. He just stayed in one place the whole time and just annihilated him.
That was the bloody corridor. To be fair, I jumped in on that fight. I don't know who was shooting who, but after I killed you, I ran down the other hall with the security camera, and there were 3 people down there just blasting at each other, and I had the shotgun. I was like, let me jump in on that, and just started shooting down the corridor, hitting people. They were like, I don't know who to stop or who to start shooting, but kind of the fun of the game. You don't know who to trust, and if you can't
I think No Pants got in really quick. Like, he figured out really quick how to get in on that one. So like, that was his first night to play with us, but
yeah,
they did.
We need to get him the prop hunt stuff going.
Oh, definitely. Well, and I've got to move the prop hunt stud over to my main PC at some point too.
Well, we can do yours and No Pants at the same time. That way Chicken can do one tutorial.
Again,
Oh,
well,
that's
the
good,
tutorial, I did save it too, so I can walk myself through it again.
That's fun times right there.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
Chicken and I also played with Red and my sister. We played Played Up, and it was one of those things where it's like that game. To me, I'm like, oh no, I messed up. Oh well, I'll restart because it's a roguelike. Like that's what you do, and the next one's gonna be kind of different and everything. You just keep going. Like we got into one where it was a huge restaurant and Chicken and Red were doing the serving and Kat had her own kitchen and I had my own kitchen where I was making pies and stuff, and like they're like we had taken pumpkin pie as a dessert and then pumpkin seeds as a starter. And the thing is like everybody wanted the seeds as soon as they come in and I'm the only one making them. And it's like, okay, well I'm doing the best that I can. I'm not even looking at the tables, but I hear Red just like panic. He is just like stressed like it's a real job out there. I'm like, it's okay. I'm going. We lost in like overtime day 4 or whatever. But he was like stressed out about it. I was like, this doesn't bother me the same level as it seems to bother you.
Man, it is difficult because, okay, not only did every single table want seeds to start, there were 3 types of pizza too. Like we had mushroom, onion, and regular, and then pumpkin pie for dessert. So now every
So what happened to the bread and toast style games? You know, where you have bread and toast.
Yeah, well, that was nice when we had them, but this one unfortunately was not that simple. But it just got so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So overwhelming because we just could not handle, because we were trying to manage, give seeds, take the next order, get pizza, take the next order or leave, get the dishes, and like all we had was soaking sink, so it takes like 5 seconds for them to clean a dish, and it was like, okay, clean the fucking dishes faster, pile it onto the autoplater, just go, and we're just running out of time.
It can get very chaotic, especially like in the main run. Once it gets to like day 12, it gets super chaotic. But once you hit overtime, like day 3 and 4 are just insane. If you don't already have everything automated, it's just raw.
Yes, because what you franchise, whatever cards you pick, gives you 30% population. So you increase how many people are coming in drastically. And if, like Griff said, if you are not ready for it, you're going to fall behind very quickly.
It really is like Overcooked on steroids. It's like Overcooked is the actual kids version of the game, and then Played Up is like, would you like to have an anxiety attack about where the tables are? Cool.
Oh my god. It's intense to say the least. It can be.
That was fun though. Baka sat back because he came in after we were all playing, and so he just got to sit back and like watch like some mastermind over there.
I will say after last night, when I'm running one, we're not just having people join in. Like me and Kat were running one while we waited for Griff to finish out hers, and we got to like day 13, and then we invited Griff and Red was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, this sucks. And we failed pretty quickly. Like, okay. Next time, we're going to save this for the 2 people that are doing it, or whoever is doing it, save it for later, because you have to build up a system to make it work. And throwing people into that system and they don't know which part they're playing gets chaotic.
Like,
so
I think that's what's interesting about that game is it's not just cutesy cook game. It's like literally a strategy game. You have to have a strategy for every day. And if you mess up part of that strategy, then you're going to either struggle or immediately fail. Like those are your 2 options.
Yes, and any simple mistake can cause you to wipe a day too. Oh god.
It's like high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
High stakes
I like it.
Game.
I like it.
No.
I like it.
We're gonna food pun.
Yeah, we're gonna call a steak place high stakes.
Well, good thing we don't make steaks very often because they suck.
Yes, they do suck.
I mean,
to be fair, you get 3 of the frozen prep ones. You could just have 1 or 4 of each ready all the time.
That's gonna be a while. That's assuming you make it that far. Anyway, Oak, what were you gonna say?
We've gotten to play a lot of Old Man and No Pants and I. We've been playing a lot of Grounded, trying to get more of the storyline and stuff done that's on there. And Saturday, was it Saturday? No, it was earlier in the week. We had decided to go over to the area where the termites are at and get over to that area. And we had we'd seen them in the game before. They're black ox beetles. So if I say box beetle, that's what I'm talking about, because I just take the black off and the ox and it's box.
Yeah.
So those beetles, you'll see them wandering around, but they're massive. I mean, they look like big giant tanks. And we had dodged a couple of them to do what we needed to do, and then we didn't see any for a while. Well, I'd fallen down into a hole. We were on our way back home, and I fall down into a hole, and there's literally a box beetle sitting looking at me, and No Pants and Old Man come down to kind of help. And Old Man, I don't know what he was thinking. We kind of moved to the sides. No Pants goes to one side, and I go to the other, and we kind of figure out, okay, he's not going to be able to get us here. Maybe he'll de-aggro. Old Man stands in the way and takes a direct hit from this thing and immediately goes down.
No.
So now he's standing there. We're like, okay, he's got 30 seconds. So hopefully he'll de-aggro at some point. So he turned around, walked off. I snuck up, got him. Good. He wanders off, and we go back. There's only one real way up to the top unless you build a way up. So we went back to the back to get up to the top. I get up there and immediately hear another box beetle above me. And he comes in and pounces down on top of me. Luckily, he misses. And then we just start swinging. I was like, well, it says hit him in the belly and hit him with something salty. Here you go, guy. So I'm just nailing and hitting as much as I could. And everybody was. No Pants goes down. The box beetle sitting on top of him. Luckily, he ended up aggroing on Old Man. And I was able to get, with 1 second left, I was able to get him back up. And we just walloped on him and took care of him as much as we could. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's go analyze this. We analyzed all the stuff for it. And to get the gear that you need, which I'm sure we're going to need for the brood mother or somebody, that gear that you need, you have to kill at least 15 of these buggers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Good luck.
I was like, oh my god. So we've been trying to build everything up the best we can, and we ended up we were hunting around for stuff, and we saw there's these rocks that have cracks in them, and if you have a bomb, you can drop the bomb on them, explodes, and that opens up a tunnel. So we opened a tunnel up, and I go, oh look, RS, and I walked over to the raw science, and I stepped on the raw science, and there was a hole under it.
Oh.
And I fell down to the bottom, and it looked right above me was a thing that said Black Widow. So I fell into a Black Widow hive, evidently, and I'm like, oh no. And all of my stuff, because I have one of my viewers is arachnophobic, all my stuff looks like the cookies. So all I see are the two little big giant cookies for the body. And I'm like, and I don't have a lamp or anything on me. I'm sitting in the dark hole trying to fight this thing. And it doesn't take long for me to go down. We're like, what are we going to do? Because they came down to try to help. And you got these little spiderlings that are all after you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went down. We had to get our bags. We had to go back down, get our bags, run back up and get bit. But we've now know where the Black Widow is. That is marked on the map. So when we want to fight her, we can do so. But right now I don't want to touch her. And then today I was changing all of our walls over from grass walls over to mushroom walls because they're the strongest wall that you can have in the game, at least that we know of. And so I was moving all that over today. And then I realized that we had enough stuff to make a stuffed spider. And Old Man wasn't with us today, and he's at a birthday party, and he's playing with us tonight. So I made a stuffed wolf spider and stuck it on top of our tower where all of our zip lines go off of.
Why would you do that?
He's not arachnophobic. It's just scary when you first come up to the top, you know? So, and it is creepy because I thought it would have like seams or something to kind of not look completely like a real one. No, it looks just like the real thing, just stationary. So I got it setting up at the top. So you can't see it when you come up the spiral. You have to turn and look at it. So I'm interested to see how that goes this evening. So when he listens to the podcast later, he'll know that I set it up what I did. So it should be good. But we've had a really good time with it. We've unlocked a lot of stuff. We're now at tier 3 stuff, which is neat. The amount of stuff they've added in this game since I first started playing it is crazy to me. And it's not it doesn't feel like a grind. which I like. It feels like, you can go in and grind the game a little bit if you want to get stuff done. Like we've got bases everywhere. The raids are cool. So like we ended up beating the Termite King. But you have to get into that area, so you're killing a bunch of termites and everything as you do that. Same thing if you have to go in and you have to kill a bunch of ants or whatever to get the parts and all that. They get mad at you and they raid your house.
Oh, nice.
So if you kill the king, then it's termite. But the problem is like No Pants logged in by himself last night to reorganize all of our stuff, and he got raided by the termites because we had just killed the termite king before we logged out.
Bad idea.
So luckily he was able to take care of them, but he was like, okay, we really need to watch this on how we're doing it. So it was like, okay, what do we do? So we looked up, there's different theories out there, whether or not, is it go to one base or does it go whatever the closest base is? What's the deal on that? And it's like, I'm like, why don't we log in at a base that's above everything they can't get to? And then that way, we're not using our main base, but then I'm adding the mushroom walls and stuff anyway, so they are not going to be able to get into us easily. But yeah, it's quite fun. And tonight we're working towards getting ready to go to the Broodmother is what we're looking at doing. So we'll see how that works. But fun times.
Well, anything else that anybody wants to talk about as far as things that we've been doing in our free time before we jump into news?
Yeah, I've got a segue if you guys don't have anything. But
Go ahead.
But if you have been catching my streams, I have been playing the shit out of Elden Ring. First of all,
Yeah.
I totally get why that game got all the accolades that it did, because it is just incredible to say the least. And I spent 3 hours. So far, it's the longest I've spent on a boss, but I spent 3 hours fighting Melania, Blade of Mikola. Like, holy shit! You hear that she kills you, and that's what you hear every single time, every time. And I died to her for 3 hours. It was like an hour and a half one day and 2 hours the next day. And my stubborn ass wasn't going to walk away and just go do something else. Like I was like, all right, we'll change something else. We'll change something else. We'll change something else. We're going to keep doing this. But I would use the mimic tier, which basically makes a exact copy of you. So there's two of you for fight. And again, she is by far the hardest boss I have had to fight so far. But I changed one thing before I went to fight her. One of your little flasks things that you can use to buff yourself. I changed it so that it can break the enemy's poise faster. And it actually worked really well. Because normally when you hit them and hit them and hit them, you can break them and then they'll kneel down and you get a special attack on her. Usually I only get one of those. I got two of them in the attempt that I actually killed her at. Also, because my mimic is maxed level, like I got all the stuff to get him as max as possible. He's stupid strong. Like stupid strong. She does an ability where she'll just charge, slam down, and do a little flower explosion, which does scarlet rot to everybody around it.
That's like
and
the
that
worst thing in that
motherfucker,
game.
that motherfucker just runs into it and just beats the shit out of her while she's stunned doing that. So by the time she stands up, she's half health, and I was like, "That's right, my boy, get him, get her." I'm not getting in there, but you get in there. But
I'll sit back and watch. Yay!
Exactly, that's
Good
what
job,
I did,
buddy. Good job, little buddy.
But also, every time you get into phase 2, she'll do that ability. But in the time that I killed her, it's the only time she did not do that. The only time she did not, because usually she floats up into the air and then she'll slam down on you and do that flower attack. She did not do that time.
There was one that I watched you do that I thought was pretty impressive. You got in and he hit the guy just right to where he wasn't able to go his second phase.
Oh, it was I can't remember.
Dude.
I can't remember which one it was, but I know I did that for one of the bosses where it was just I hit him so fast that he never got a chance to do his second phase. Oh, it was the Blood King.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the first time I fought him, he went into his second phase. The second time that I fought him, I just straight beat him, and he couldn't change because he was staggered the whole time. But my build is pretty strong. It's like katana style with the mimic, and every boss, because I'm starting to work towards the end of the game, my goal is to kill all demigods and all of the big gods before I beat the game. So I was going around cleaning up all the other bosses, and after Melina, everybody else has been easy. Like me and Mimic have been able to just tear them apart. Even like the end story boss before you get to the end game, like even the beast clergyman didn't even stand a chance. The only reason he killed me every time, first time, I didn't know that I was on a bridge, so I rolled off the bridge trying to avoid him and died instantly. I was like, okay, so that's a bridge.
That was hilarious.
Don't do that. Second time, I jumped forward and then he pushed me off the bridge. I was like, okay, so we got to get further into the arena, so let's do that. When I finally got in and got set up, because I got to summon the mimic, put the flames on my sword, heal, and then I can get ready to fight him. And by the time I did that, we just destroyed him. Like between me and the mimic, because he'll jump to the mimic, and the mimic doesn't take much damage, or he'll turn towards me and I could dodge while the mimic beats the shit out of him. So you're stuck between a lawnmower and another lawnmower. So either way, but I got him in the second phase, and he spent the entire second phase trying to hit my mimic, and I would just beat the shit out of him and killed him. So I was like, okay, that's that. So I killed him. And now we are literally the last few bosses towards the end of the game. And I think I need to go back to kill a couple of other ones before we finish it up.
Which you'll be finishing on Tuesday, right?
Yes, Tuesday. And this actually leads into some of the news too, because next week I'll be finishing up Elden Ring and picking up any other extra stuff. And then on Friday, because unfortunately I got to work, but Friday is when Dead Space comes out. And on the following Tuesday, I will be starting Dead Space. The new Dead Space, because I am excited for that. The first one was super good.
This is a reboot of the first one, though, isn't it?
This is a remake.
Remake. Okay, sorry.
So it's gonna be good. But one of the articles that we have is the Dead Space remake is so terrifying that even the dev team is struggling to play it because it is so bad. Which is good. I've watched the animated movies of Dead Space, and it's some horrible stuff, man. Like, the Necromorphs are horrible, horrible beings, which I love that an engineer is the one that stops this alien species. Some dude with a plasma gun is the one that stops this horrific alien species.
Oh, I am certain that it is definitely scary. He mentioned that he couldn't play with headphones on, so the ambient scare is also in there, which is nice. Like, I think that's one of the best things that a horror game can do is have the right like sound setting so that it unsettles you based on what you're hearing, not just what you're seeing or what jumps out of the fog at you. It's like a more encompassing, scary setting. So I think that's fun.
Not like Phasmo in the
yes.
Empty house.
Yes, it's the intensity, man. It's not just the environment. It's like the ambience around the environment that just makes it unsettling because you're not entirely. What was that?
Yeah,
things like that.
I think you mentioned Phasmo. What they did with Sunny Meadows, the asylum level.
Oh God, please
the fact
no.
that you can hear distant disembodied sounds and your team may not hear them. It's like it just targets one person to hear a thing, so like you hear somebody scream off to the side. It's so unsettling because then your whole team, you're like, did you hear that? Did you guys hear that? No, nobody heard that. Oh, okay. Or even for like some of the smaller touches that they added, which I'm sure Dead Space is probably going to have some of these too, where it's like you see something out of the corner of your eye or it's a small thing. Like with Phasmo, again, the asylum is where they did all of these cool things. You'll be watching the cameras from the van to see if there are dots or anything, and if there's a crucifix in the room, like, it's not like in 15 minutes this will happen. It's like just randomly. Sometimes you'll be like, something's moving. What is moving? Oh my God, the crucifix is slowly turning upside down, and I'm in the van and I'm scared. Somebody come hold my hand. So it's like little stuff that you really need to sell a scary game, and I think this game is probably going to do it.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt.
I mean, the original did a really good job atmosphere-wise and what they were doing. So now think of modern technology and being able to remake. God. And then think of things they wanted to be able to do before that they had to pull because the technology wouldn't allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like the game back then was just so unsolid. Every time you come up against the necromorph, you're just like, oh shit. Like, and the nice part is you just don't shoot it in the head. You've got to dismember it or deal with it in some sort of different way.
I was not successful at that game because I couldn't get the little slicey gun thing to, like, I couldn't make it work the way I thought it should, because that's not how it worked. And that was what I needed to use. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I suck at this game.
The plasma cutter is the
That's what it was.
god-given weapon in that one.
I got halfway through it, had to go out of town on a trip, and lost my entire PC while I was gone because it had gotten fried out from
A storm or something.
lightning strike or something, and so I had to wait 2 years, and I still haven't gone back to it. So
I hope they fix the asteroid part, because that part right there is the most annoying piece ever. The controls for the shooting the asteroids.
I think that's actually where I stopped playing.
I came and helped you on
I
that
know,
part.
but
think you
I was so
finished it.
frustrated right after that because I couldn't do that part, and then I still couldn't work the plasma cutter the way that I wanted to, and I was like, I'm gonna stop playing this for right now, and I never went back to it.
Oh, that game is so good. So good. The plasma cutter, like, you just have to learn to be able to, like, cut their arms off, and you have to keep doing it. And then when they're down, you stomp on them. But that game did a really good job at breaking itself from the typical enemy build. So I cannot wait to see what they're going to do for this one. This game, Resident Evil 4 remake, and the Silent Hill 2 remake, like, here we go.
this might be the renaissance
again.
of horror, but they're renaissancing like literally games that have already existed and
Yes.
bringing them back.
Well, to be fair, and I haven't played it, so I don't know, but a lot of the comments on this article specifically were referencing, like, didn't one of the Callisto Protocol devs say the same thing about their game being too scary? And that, from what I've heard, that game is really, like, middle of the road, okay-ish. It's not good, but it's not bad, you know?
But the
So it's
difference
like,
is
well,
the
is
Callisto
it that
Protocol
scary?
is a new IP, and they were trying to overhype it. Like this, we know what to expect out of Dead Space. We've played it. This is a remake. The old, like, if you give it the Resident Evil 3 treatment, you're gonna fail. Like, everybody's got the nice little diagram of how to succeed in remakes and how to fail at remakes. Resident Evil 2, yes. Expand on the story, make it bigger, polish it up. You can rewrite parts of it, but you keep it the same. Good remake. This is how you do it. Resident Evil 3, change the story, cut pieces out, shorten the game, change the style. No, that's not how you do a remake. So,
Yes.
Dead Space, do it right. Silent Hill 2, do it right. Resident Evil 4, I'm having a lot of faith that they're going to do it right. So,
Yeah.
this is I just happened to read the bottom part of this article. John Carpenter is the one that's looking at doing like a Dead Space movie project and stuff like that. But the bottom part of it says, I'm a big video game fan, so I played all of the games. I was down looking at the new digital cameras, the Red, which it's a high-end digital camera for those that aren't aware of those. And it happened to mention to them that I would love to have a Dead Space film, and then now it's getting around, and he's possibly going to be working on that. That's kind of cool.
I mean, to be fair, you get somebody to do a Dead Space film, you get him to do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, why not? And how the atmosphere's got to be right, though, right? And
Yeah.
if they knock this up to a certain level, your
Ooh.
movie's got to hit this same level.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes,
It's gotta have
absolutely.
the right ambient tension.
The problem with a movie to game like this kind of style is that in the game, you have so much style of defense, where in a movie, if you want to build that suspense for your player, you've got to make them more vulnerable. Because they don't get to respawn. Like, if they die, the character is dead in the movie, where, you die, and so
You're gonna go
you've
back
got
to
to
that
kind of
checkpoint.
you got to kind of balance the way your characters in the movie can fight. You got to make it desperate each time, because in the game you just fight necromorphs like they're coming out of the walls, which they literally are.
Well,
in
there's
this one,
there's not a whole lot of. I mean, you're not interacting with other people really either for the most part in the game, right? And then
Yeah.
mainly solo.
you have
So-
some that you're helping periodically, but you're not really seeing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's part of it too. You're going to have an actor that can carry it on his own
Yeah.
to hold that role, and then interact with whatever being they have created. And I mean, imagine the CGI effects and practical effects on that one.
It'd be very interesting to see how you're going to do that, because if they go with the same principle as the game where they make Isaac the main character, he's in armor, so you've got to make this personality and this guy feel like he's going to be able to fight these monsters on here. So every time he comes up against one, or he has to fight through them, like you're going to cheer for him to win. But
I feel like you're going to have a little bit of an intro in there before you ever get to that point where you start battling the stuff on the ship.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they would do a prequel, or they would do like a pre-sequence where they show the falling of the Ishimura, and then the distress beacon going out, and the other ship picking up and sending Isaac over because they need an engineer to help fix the ship. And then he goes over to help, and then that's where the story will pick up, where Isaac's here to help fix the ship, and he realizes he got in way too deep. First of all, he's a total badass. I mean, he's just an engineer coming to help fix the ship, and he turns out to be a great alien fighter, like Doom Guy Light.
Doom Guy Light. Okay.
I mean, it really is. I mean,
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. All right. What do we? There's no real way to segue from that to anything, is there?
I mean,
sure try.
I mean, you could go with Space Fighters, which would lead us right into Halo, Master Chief.
Or we could have gone. Speaking of Doom Guy Light.
Speaking of Doom Guy.
Man. Yes.
I mean, so we've got some news that's coming out of with Halo right now. There was a rumor that was going around that Halo was being taken away from 343 Industry. 34 Industries they will continue to develop Halo now and in the future. I think they need help.
I mean, they're losing their biggest asset.
Yep. So Joseph Staten, who's the one that kind of, I'll say saved, because it was probably just hot garbage before it became medium garbage. I mean, the way that there was
they
rain.
didn't drown, but they still have serious damage.
Right now, they're like basically like standing at the bottom of a swimming pool with their head up and just the nose they can breathe. That's about where they were at, trying to tread water a good bit. But Joseph is leaving. He's going to go into the Microsoft publishing part, the Xbox publishing stuff. So he's still part of the company. They've just moved him out of that role.
Which is shocking to me, but I mean, maybe...
Me too. But...
I mean, maybe they're moving him over to start a Halo reboot, or Halo or something, because I mean, it's been, 20 years? It's been 21 years since Halo first was released, so...
Yep.
And these last 3 games have kind of been middle to low, average-ish, where it comes from, like, the highest echelon of games. Halo 1, 2, and 3 is like one of the greatest trilogies ever written, and then you gotta go to medium. It's like,
it feels like they couldn't decide exactly what they wanted to do, which is they kind of just like jumped around a little bit. It's like Halo 4, okay, it wasn't successful as we thought it would be, so let's wrap it up in a comic and then move on to Halo 5. Okay, Halo 5 didn't work out the way we wanted it to be. Okay, let's scrap that and go to Halo Infinite, which means we can do this thing and with this plot line. And it's kind of like they wanted to do too much, but they couldn't make it cohesive enough.
Which is why I believe that they're moving Joseph Staten to somewhere else, to where he can write a series of games that go together. Like I guarantee when they wrote Halo, they were like, all right, our overlaying plan, here's the story of it. How can we write it for 3 games? Or how can we write it for this game? Let's continue it into this game, and let's continue it into this game. And that's
their writers created a lore first. Like, so here's your lore of the world you're in. They created how did Master Chief come to be? So now he had his background. How did the Covenant come to be? Now they have their background. Why are they attacking? What is their purpose? Now you can create the entire storylines and stuff that go along with it. I think what happened is once you ended Halo 3, there was an entire great storyline that they wanted to do with Halo 4 and 5 and 6. But because it wasn't the regular Covenant everybody was used to, they didn't sell it, in my opinion. But if you had completed and went to 5, when 4 and did into 5, and 5 was a continuation of the story, the second one is the one that's going to sell that story to you.
Yes, because then not only that, like people are like, okay, 5 is good, play 4, and then that 5 sells 4, and now boom, now you've got your 2-piece trilogy, and then everyone's waiting for the third. It's like, okay, that's why people say Halo 2 is like one of the greatest, because it was so good, and it made Halo 1 even better and 3 even better. It's like when you hit that climax in the center, it's like, okay, now you have a chance to finish your story. But they gave up too quickly. They put it in a comic book and then completely changed direction.
Yeah.
And that just puts people off.
Right, which is why your 5 is not going to do well.
Exactly. People aren't invested again.
It made no sense compared to the last one we just played. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we bought Halo 4, we were ready to play it, and then when they announced how Halo 5, it was like, okay, my interest fell down. Like I was interested to see where they were going to go, and then they were completely changing direction, and I lost what interest I did have. And I was like, I'll just play it on Game Pass and then move on from it, because they're not selling me chapters. They're just selling me different books at this point that I don't get a real ending for. So.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think a reboot would be the best thing they could do.
I do too. I mean, I love Halo. Give me a new trilogy. Reboot the series, start over from somewhere else, or retell the story if you want. Just do something different.
Yeah.
Like you can go even further back in the Master Chief's career if you want.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, because he's, I think, what, 50 something in the new one.
Yeah, he's older for sure.
I mean, you could go back to when there were, as he was going through his, I wouldn't say the training part of it.
You could do like right after his training, his first mission.
After he's 18, 19 years old, we'll go.
Like, wouldn't it be cool to play? Like, you could do or see some of the training stuff and whatnot, his montage or whatever you want to do, and then him getting his armor for the first time and going on his first mission, and you're like, oh my god, this is the start of Master Chief. Like, this is our first mission, and you get to see how mediocre he is compared to what he became. Because I know first mission, everyone's good, but not
kind
godly.
of that the RPG style that they were trying to make in Halo Infinite, with creating, having your item and be able to increase it. This would make a lot more sense. Increase your amount of power, increase the amount of shielding you have, whatever it happens to be, and move through. It would make a whole lot more sense on the beginning, an origin story versus.
Oh yeah, like you get shot, your shield breaks pretty quickly, or you can't take as many bullets because you're just not used to getting hit in your armor like that yet. And then it changes as you progress through the story. More shield, you're more resistant, things like that. You just watch him develop as you play through. It's like, okay, I can get behind that. I get to watch Master Chief from like hiding behind the rock, trying not to get hit all the time, to like he does run through the fucking bullets and take people down. So there's a lot of options that they could do there. So, well, we'll see as the year goes on, because this is early news. So,
yeah,
definitely.
I'll still be supporting the multiplayer side of things from what it sounds like. It sounds like a lot of the people that were let go were from the single player side. So,
yeah. And the perfect segue is that a lot of companies seem to always have this same problem too, is when they're writing a story, they don't ever seem to think like far ahead. They're only like stuffed on this one, and then it starts disconnecting from the next expansion. Like WoW does a lot of, like, every expansion seems so disconnected from the previous one. So I mean, it's weird, because you go from like in the Shadowlands to Dragon Island, and from Dragon Island to wherever, and they just feel so disconnected. Like they don't have an arching part of the story. They just have like a bridge that you got to hope that you could jump from.
Yeah, it's
so
like,
you're saying the only thing with Dragon is their storyline? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, that's
I
terrible.
don't know, man. Sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith every time. Instead of being invested and moving on with the story, you just are like, okay, I guess I got to jump in and get invested in this new story. Feels so weird.
Guess I need to care about this now.
Yeah.
Or now I need to stop caring about that, because problem solved. I guess we never have to worry about going to the afterlife again. Cool, let's carry on. Dragons are here. Hooray.
But yeah, speaking of WoW, their agreement with NetEase has significantly gotten worse over the last few weeks. I
That,
think it
that's
was
like an
November.
understatement to me.
In November, I think was when this came out that they said they were canceling WoW in China.
Yeah,
Because
because
they
they
couldn't
lost
do
their
it.
sponsorship.
Yeah, and it has gotten worse. Like,
Well,
oh
and
my
the thing
God.
was, is they went to NetEase and they said, "Look, we want to extend this with you for 6 months while we look at somebody to have the same sponsorship, basically." And they were like, "No, we're not going to do that." Here's the problem that I see. In case everybody forgot, there are like 2 different things that they're still hosting for Activision Blizzard. So they've got, first of all, they created the mobile game for Diablo, and then the servers that Diablo stuff runs on in China is being done by NetEase as well. So you've got your Diablo franchise is currently being ran by NetEase, and NetEase is doing this shit. What do you do on your end?
Whew.
What do you do on your end? Like, and they were smashing statues and all types of stuff at NetEase headquarters to
At each of the Blizzard HQs, they have the wolf. It has a name, but it's a wolf statue or an orc wolf statue that they have out front of there's actually one in Anaheim too. It's the giant wolf statue out front. And they did a live stream and took sledgehammers and busted it apart.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, you talk about major disrespect. Like, holy shit, there's no building that bridge back, man. You took a sledgehammer to it and definitely did not want to. So I do not see Blizzard games coming back to China at all.
I want to know who owned it.
Who owned the statue?
Yeah, because if the statue is property of Activision Blizzard, because basically that's just a sponsored company. NetEase is just a sponsored company. So if NetEase didn't pay for it, and I don't now in the US there would be a major lawsuit because that's the way our system works. But I don't know how that works in China. But if NetEase was not the one that owned it, and Activision Blizzard was the one that owned that, and they destroyed that property, I'm wondering how legality would work there.
China will not care. It is on China property, Chinese land. You will not get anything from that. I guarantee Blizzard built that because it was Blizzard's HQ, so that's where they worked from or hired people from to run stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they brought that there from America, from the US, and they would still be like, too bad. It's over here, so it's ours. Too bad. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
You're just making it petty at that point and burning any bridges from anybody who was trying to be nice. So I would not expect to see any Blizzard games in China at all. And speaking of such, I saw an article about this thing, and then somebody was like, well, let's see how long it's going to take for them to get a WoW clone out. And yeah, it was not long. It was not long at all. It's called what is this game called? It's Terraceland.
Land.
Or is it Tar Island?
I'm gonna go with because it's one word. I'm gonna say Terraceland.
Terraceland. Okay. Yeah. It's a WoW clone as you can get. There are like 1-to-1 recreations of some of the cinematics from WoW, and it is just.
And they can't do shit because it's China.
Yeah,
Yep.
so what are you gonna do about it? Like,
Well, it makes you wonder. I mean, I know that they're competitors. They're not part of like NetEase and Tencent are both, of course, sponsored by China, but they're not in cahoots in that respect because they're competitors there. But I wonder at what point they were looking at it going, hey, you know what? This agreement's about over that NetEase has with WoW. I wonder if we can get in on this. And then the news hit that it was going to end. It was like 3 months ago we covered that. 4 months ago we covered that. And they were like, all right, make it work quick. See what we can do. And they're like, oh, well, there's already this game that we're wanting to compete against anyway that's no longer going to be here. So no big deal. We'll just use all their assets as much as we can and just revamp them a little.
And there's nothing like that. That's also interesting for international law and things of that caliber. Is like there's nothing Blizzard can do about copyright infringement in another country like that.
There is if they have copyright law, they're set up that way.
If they have copyright law.
I don't know what China's
Tencent and
laws are.
NetEase have like pretty much free reign to do whatever they want, and as long as they keep it inside of China, they're like Blizzard. It's like, okay, we're not tapping into your market. We're not trying to get your customers. We develop this all by ourselves, and it just happens to be similar. So if people like that, they could play this.
Well, I mean, being Tencent, it is one of those where it is a possibility that they are trying to bring it over to the Western world as well, because Tencent puts their hands everywhere.
That will be interesting to see, because you may not be able to stop China from doing it, but you can start putting regulations on Tencent's investments in American companies too, which there are a lot of them. So you may not be able to slap the whole head, but you could stab the hands that reach out. So,
yep, you can thwart a little bit of what they're trying to do, at least. But
yes. So you get a little bit of reach, but we'll see how this develops too, because that's a huge Chinese WoW players. That is a huge population, and
lots of gold farmers. I've had less gold farm spamming here lately, so
I know I have too. Like, it's been
that's
a lot
right.
less.
I guess we haven't gotten our regular gold spam. Huh. I mean, that's kind of
like
nice.
I've had one in the past 2 weeks.
I think I've had one in the past 2 weeks too. It's been so rare now. I remember when we were in Black Temple, it was like everybody would get like 2 or 3 or 4 a night whenever we were raiding.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of a nice accidental byproduct. Because, I guess, I wonder what that's going to do to the economy for things like GDKPs.
The gold is already there.
I mean, I guess so.
Like, it's not going to keep growing. It's going to be more stagnant now from where it's so maybe a good thing.
I guess we'll see.
So
because people like some of the people we used to raid with can't just go in and go, I'm going to spend $100 for a shit ton of gold and just go buy all of our stuff.
Okay, so Diablo Immortal they have on too, but the other ones that they had, it looks like the contract for World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, and Overwatch also ends in 2023.
That's going to be really interesting to see what they want to do with all of that. Like, what happens after that. So.
Yep. That's... I feel bad for the Chinese gamers, but at least they're allowing them, like, download your stuff, save your stuff, we come back, you can load your character back, all that. Hopefully that's a thing. Hopefully they're able to bring them back. But...
I mean, it should all be server side.
Blizzard offered backups of whatnot. I can't remember what the article was, but Blizzard was like, hey, let us back up all this server stuff so that we can save everybody's stuff. And NetEase was like, fuck you, no.
Oh, well then.
No, they still offered it. It still happened because it was on one of the
but
other
if you're not
articles
done by the 26th when the agreement runs out, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure that it's done.
I mean, you've known for 4 months. At that point, you've got to make a little bit of a decision.
They were praying that it would continue on, but it's not. So save your shit now. If you do not, then you are not going to get another chance, and all of it will be wiped. So good luck.
Yeah, I just shady practices all around on that shit.
Yeah, no fucking kidding.
But it's the system that China set up, so it is what it is. Anything else we got?
The old game that we've talked about for a lot of years that they canceled.
It's been 9 years, right?
Really? It's only been 9 years?
That one was announced alongside...
Oh, it was 2017 when they announced that it was canceled, though.
Yeah, that's when they announced it was canceled. But 2014, I think, is the first time they showed Scalebound.
Yes.
So
there is a rumor that Platinum Games is working on with Xbox to revive Scalebound.
Yes.
It's a rumor, though.
Gimme.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor, but it's a rumor that I would be very happy about.
I would kind of be interested to know why it petered out in the first place before we start getting hyped about reviving it.
But well, our understanding was at the time, at least this is what the narrative they were giving is that the Xbox One could not handle what they were trying to do with the game. But now they're wanting to bring it back because the Series S and Series X are able to do so. Now, how much of that I believe, I
I don't know if I
but-
entirely buy that line.
I will say one thing when thinking about that game, like the big style of play. One thing that I wish we had in Elden Ring was being able to climb on the damn giants and whatnot. Like the amount of times I've had to fight an enemy and cut their ankles is ridiculous.
You hamstring them. Like, that's what you do.
Like all I could think every time I fight a big enemy in any game is how good Dragon's Dogma was and the ability to be able to climb upon your foes, and not having that in any game where you fight giants is just frustrating to say the least. So maybe that's part of their thing because you have dragons, so being able to climb on top of dragons freely would add quite an interesting style. You get tossed or you spin and you slide off your dragon, you have to climb back up. Like adding that whole dynamic to dragon control would be quite taxing, to say the very least.
Huh. You don't say.
I don't say.
I don't see. Be interesting to see if the rumors come true or if we hear any more of this in the future.
I need to see more about fucking Fable. Like holy shit.
You know what? I'm okay with not seeing Fable. Like I am one of those people that is so tired of them giving me a teaser and then 7 years later I get a fucking game.
No. What they do is they give you a teaser, then 7 years later they cancel the game.
No, they don't. No, they cancel the game. They give me an incomplete game because they were like, "This is what we're going to be working on." 4 years later, we start working on it. We haven't completed the game yet, but we're going to release said game. I'm tired of that, man. Like, give me I used to bitch about day one patches. Give me a day one patch for a game and make it work. If you can give me a day one patch, I'm okay with that.
I've seen a lot of people talking about this recently too, because I know Sony has been bitching about the whole acquisition and whatnot, but Microsoft has to step up their game releases. Like all they do is release shit on Game Pass and stuff that's half fixed or half releases. Like I don't even know when the last time we got a full, crisp, grade AAA, unbuggy version game was.
I couldn't tell you that with any game.
God of War.
They had its bugs, but it's very minor.
Spider-Man. Really
Morales,
good.
Morales
yeah,
was
really good releases. Like Sony releases their games in pretty damn good condition. Same thing with Nintendo. Pretty damn good condition. Microsoft uses their Game Pass as like a free testing grounds where it's like,
well, I mean, but they have a preview system. Like Grounded was a preview. They do have a preview system that's there, but I would argue that they could have just put Halo in preview section, and a lot of the shit that people were bitching about would have been like, oh, it's still in preview though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we do. It's still beta.
Well, again, that's why I like.
Sea of Thieves would probably be the last thing they released that was a good game. But it's a game with service, so they continue to add to the game.
Yeah.
But
their
it was
full release, yes, absolutely.
that beta we played was buggy as shit, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But when they finally released the game, it was still a good thing. We did
get some. Oh, okay, lagged a little bit. Then get some good gameplay, and then build your game on that. Like that's what Sea of Thieves did. Like their gameplay is so good.
Yeah.
And then they just added onto it, and it was even better. Like, you talk about raising the bar each time. They did. They had a great foundation to hold up that building that they built.
Yep.
But that's usually the problem, is that most games or companies don't have a good foundation.
Well, Rare has a good history too. So, and they've been purchasing companies that have a good history. So it is a possibility that we end up with, some more games that are less buggy based on the fact from those bigger companies like that that they've purchased. But I mean, you buy Bethesda that screwed up Fallout 76.
Oh man, you talk about catastrophic failure.
Which supposedly is a really good game now. I haven't touched it, but supposedly it's a really good game.
Yeah, I've heard that now it's not too bad, but from what it was at the beginning, again, have a good foundation, and they released that thing they released it in that form, not even a beta or early access or anything.
That game was pre-alpha when they released it.
Yeah. I think that was
That's the best. I've played an alpha game and they better than that thing.
I really feel like they should have been like, this is a pre-launch one. You can do early access with us and get your founders stuff and whatnot, but you have to understand that it's early access. Instead, they're like, here's Fallout 76, it's amazing, and people got into it, and it's like,
Ooh.
this is broken,
Ooh.
this is broken, this doesn't work, this is not what you said it was going to be, that's broken, oh my god, I just got launched into space, what's happening?
Oh god, it was so horrible.
I mean, Dark and Darker is an alpha build game, and it's functioning better than fucking that game when it came out.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think some companies incorrectly lean into things that people sometimes find endearing about them. Like Bethesda specifically, in their Fallout series, like, has some bugs, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, Bethesda, look at this cute thing. This is what we expect from Fallout." But they like lean hard into that, and when our fan base expects us to make mistakes, so we'll go ahead and launch whatever we want. I'm sure that they'll think it's charming and funny and endearing, and it's like, no, not to that extent. Not to that extent. There's a limit. Like, y'all are real close to the line, but when you went for 76, you went over that line, and it's like that's one of those things where it's like, nobody in the room laughed at your jokes, so you keep explaining it so that maybe they'll understand why it's funny, and nobody ever does. Like, that's what happened with Fallout 76. And then they stopped explaining it, because they stopped talking about it, and actually fixed it, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what a mess. I am excited and yet terrified for Starfield. It is like one of those things where you're like, oh god, are they going to do it again? They're probably going to do it again. It's going to crash like all the people landing their ship for the first time. Oh, man.
We'll see.
Because it's got a great premise. I like where you're going with it. I don't trust you to build it right. I do not trust you to build it right.
I feel like the only part of the game you've actually finished and built is the part you've showed us.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's the only thing that I think will work.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm interested to see, like, 2023 where games are going to go, what, like Forspoken, which is what I was excited about, comes out on Tuesday. And now with the articles coming out, with some of the stuff that is being there is kind of shady. So I'm like, do I even want to play this game now? Which is why I don't pre-order anything anymore.
Yeah, always wait for reviews to start coming out.
So Monday the reviews will hit, and Tuesday I'll make a decision. Yeah. So it's like...
It's the same thing with Dead Space. Well, I have high hopes for this one. It comes out on Friday, and if I'm going to be streaming it, it'll be on Tuesday. So I've got the weekend for everybody to kind of get into it and really give me a taste of the reviews, so I can be like, "Yeah, we're jumping in hard," or "I'm gonna wait a minute for this one."
It's fixed.
Because I think the only problem with that one is going to be the performance. So we'll see how well it could perform. If it holds up, then it's going to be a good game. If it's a little buggy and hard to run, then I feel like we're gonna.
I do wonder if performance will be one of the trending issues, like for the next little bit. Because even Ollie mentioned when we were talking about Forspoken in Chicken's chat the other day, Ollie's like, "Do you know what the specs are for running it? Why do you think it requires all of this? What do you expect from it?" It's like, I don't know. Now that you pointed that out, like, why?
I think we've hit the pinnacle of graphical context and what we have now for engines, and they're just trying harder and harder to make it look better and better, where if you don't need to go that far to make it look good. Like, I'm sure Silent Hill 2 is going to look good. I'm sure Resident Evil 4 is going to look good. I'm sure all of these games that are coming out are going to look good, but you don't need to keep pushing it to like the extremes, because we don't see a point. The recommended specs for that game is like 32 gigs of RAM. It's like, holy fucking god.
Yeah, well, but I mean, a lot of people have moved to 32 or 64, and I'm like,
yeah, but it's the point of what do you need it for?
Yeah, like, for a game? Well, the thing is that wasn't even the recommended. I think it was actually 24 for the recommended, but it was one of those where I'm looking at the thing that they've got on there, and I'm like, okay, my graphics card can handle it, my processor can handle it, my RAM can't handle it, and then I look at it, and that's just to get 13 FPS at 1440p. That's not even 4K that they're trying to hit. Like, it was just amazing to me on what specs they were asking for to get to that point. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's 24 for recommended. You're right. Yeah, like, and that's only for 30 FPS. Like, oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
holy shit!
Is it a style thing or a substance thing? Are we sacrificing our style and cutting things off at 30 FPS because the substance is worth it, or is it just like
Oh man,
y'all ain't maximizing? You know?
like it blows my mind. And I went through Forspoken, I think Forspoken, Silent Hill 2, and Resident Evil. The minimum for Forspoken is the recommended for Silent Hill 2, and the minimum for Silent Hill 2 is the recommended for Resident Evil 4, and then the minimum for Resident Evil 4. The minimum for Resident Evil 4 and the recommended for Forspoken are so far apart, it is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
it's
and the
like,
thing is,
and
I
I
don't-
bet Resident Evil 4 will look as good, if not better, in its context than Forspoken.
if
It's
I
like around 60
go,
FPS.
I'd plan on playing on PlayStation 5 for Forspoken because I was like, it's PS5 exclusive when and then PC, and I was like, okay, this is what I plan on playing it on. But how are they optimizing it for the PS5? And my PC's better than a PS5.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna bring that way down. You're probably gonna be on like a minimum specs, and you can't change it. That's the thing. Is like, if you have a mediocre PC, you could at least adjust the settings.
You can change a little bit on the games now because of the way that they've set them up. So like I can put it in 1080p and versus 4K or 1440p to adjust that part, and then I can also adjust whether I want RTX on or off, and that changes your frame rate when you do that as well. So if you have it off, it increases your frame rate. If you have it on, it reduces and locks usually at 30 when it usually locks at 30 when it's on, depending on the game. And if you have it off, it goes to 60. Well, they're telling me that I'd have to have a shit ton of RAM, a really good PC system and everything else just to get 30 frames per second at 1440p normally. So if I go to 1080p on a PS5, am I going to get 60 frames per second or am I going to get 30 frames per second?
You're getting 30.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get 30
That'd be
because
my
either
guess.
minimum or recommended, you're getting 30.
Like, it's just crazy to me.
The
Crazy.
draw distance is probably going to be severely limited in that game, because I bet that's part of it. Like, watching some of the cinematics, the draw distance is super far back, and I bet on the console it's going to be way closer.
Well,
Most
I
likely.
guess we'll find out. That
Oh
one's
yeah,
soon.
like I watched
right?
It's in 1 day and 19 hours.
Okay, I was like, it's this week or next week, isn't it? It is. Okay.
Yeah, I watched some of the beta, like several people play the beta, and none of them, not a single person that I watched play it was like blown away. They were all like, "Yeah, it's okay, it's good. It's got some good ideas and whatnot," but they were not like hair blown back, amazed at what this thing was. It was like, oh, it's good. I mean, yeah. So we'll see in a couple of days how it goes. I have a strong feeling that we're looking at a medium to positive game if you can run it.
I think it's probably going to be a 7 if you can run it.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Do you think that the if you can run it modifier actually brings that lower because some people just can't run it properly, so it's going to ruin
that's
the
what's
Oh,
gonna,
100%.
That's what's going to bring it lower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have, and because it's going to create more bugs too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Trying to run on
So-
lower settings and, trying to mess with your settings in general is just like,
That's like I was running grounded on my laptop, which is a pretty hefty laptop this morning, and it was struggling a little bit because No Pants had done all this reorganizing last night, and so he had all these words on the screen, everything else, so it had to load everything in because it wasn't used to it and all that. And it's like I had to adjust all my stuff because it's not the same as when I'm running it on my main PC. And you're going to deal with the same thing when you're dealing with that. And I don't see how they optimize for the PS5 and the Xbox One or Xbox Series now. I just do not understand how they do it. And just because I guess it's just with that particular game, the PS5 runs really good. Like, it's beautiful in games normally, but that's going to be interesting to see for sure.
well, we should, I know we finished everything up, but I've noticed that our net is starting to struggle, which has been a constant theme for the past month. So I think we should probably wrap up before it completely dies. It's already stuttered a few times. Sorry for everybody watching the video on YouTube. That's not my fault. They can't fix that.
Welcome. Comcast sucks. If you watch any of my
that's
stream,
fine. I
Comcast
gotta
sucks.
finish seeing if I can get the light bulb replaced in the headlight of my car. So
Fun.
Perfect.
Yeah, you do
We
that.
we appreciate everybody who hangs out with us each and every week at Infinite Respawn. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at InfiniteResPC. You can check me out personally at MDB Oaktree. Check out Griff.
At Griff Slanum.
Check out Chicken.
At Elite Chicken 313.
Check out Baka.
Vodka Pickle.
Make sure that while you're here, you hit that little sub button, a little bell, so that way you know when we go and we have our stuff go out. Because now it's every other week, basically, while the news is slow. Hopefully, we get back to a weekly one at some point. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Elite Chicken 313. Where he's been playing through Elden Ring and future. He's going to be starting with some Dead Space as well.
Hopefully.
Hopefully it's good enough.
Hopefully the reviews are right and he can start with the Dead Space.
Yes,
if not, you got a
I'm
backup.
excited.
Do you have a backup?
I do not have a backup.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it, and I'll throw some suggestions at him, and we'll see.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see what she suggests.
Also, make sure that you go to twitch.tv/MDB Oaktree, where I'm on almost every day of the week. Y'all, when I go live, I'm always hit it up on Twitter. So if you follow me there, you're good to go. For Infinite Respawn, I'm Oaktree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Baka.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.